Another thing that you might have noticed is that when you click this button, it will display everything that you write in here. But the problem is that we can see this debugging exit code, which we usually don't want. So to avoid that, we can just write down read key without any parameters. When we write a function, when we call a function like this, uh, we can put parameters inside these brackets. Let's say in here, our parameter is this text. This text is called a string, and a string goes inside double quotes. So yeah, in this case, read key doesn't require any parameters, and we can just call it through console, and it will ask the user to input a key. So everything that goes after console read key won't be executed until we click a key. So we can press blackjack light. As you can see, nothing goes down and it doesn't exit immediately. If we click enter and enter again, we saw the exit code. Let's say for you to test it out and understand it better, we can write, let's say, this is awesome. And we can check if it executes. Now that we debug, we can see that the last statement isn't appearing. Why is that? It's because the instructions got stopped right in this line. And if we click enter, we will get this is awesome. So yeah, that's that. We get a bit more control with this. So the first thing that we will need to do is learn a bit of ASCII art for this tutorial at least. So what is ASCII art? ASCII art is basically art that is made out of characters. I will give you an example. By just creating a rabbit with ASCII art. Also, a tip, by clicking Control plus D, you will duplicate the line that the cursor is on. So by doing this, you can efficiently create many lines if you know that the code will be the same. Okay, so for ASCII art rabbit, we can just do ears. I'm not very good in ASCII art, so I mean, uh, I'm quite sure you can do a lot better than I can do. But I will show you how I would create it. And let's see, we want two hands uh, and a tail. Hmm. The this head looks cute, but a bit too chunky, so we can make it like this. And now, when we click this button, or you also can press F5 as a shortcut, as a hotkey, and you will have this little bunny that shows up. So our homework will be to create hmm, uh, a logo for our game. I will show you how I've done it. And another tip that I have for you is that you can use console mm, function which allows you to control a bit of the colors. Let's say if you want your letters to be of different color, uh, you can write it like this. Just press equal because this is a field, you have to set it. Console is a single program, and when we want to change some setting for our running console, we have to write equal, which means uh, for this console, I want foreground color to be. Visual Studio suggests you immediately what you need to use, so don't hesitate and just click enter. Usually it will select you the right thing, since it requires you to use a thing called enum. I will explain about them later on, but for now you can imagine that enums are basically a list of items without any real meaning. And this enum contains all the colors. And let's say we want a green text like to feel like hackers. We can click this, and now you can see how it immediately changed the color of the letters to green. It looks really nice and you can play around with it. One thing that you should keep in mind that when you set this foreground color, it will be active for everything you write. So as many times as I would do this one, it will always stay green. I imagine that most of you will want to change it to a different color. You can Control C, Control V for you to copy and paste the first line, and you can easily to turn it into a different color. So let's say if I copy this one, you will see that we get it in a white font, which is really nice. Uh, Another thing that I'll mention for you to get your creative juices flowing is that console has another field, just like for foreground color, it has a background color. This one works the same way. Just press, type in equal, press enter on console color. It will give you the same enum, which consists of all the colors that it supports, and you can select one of the provided colors. Now, when we will debug, it will give us a background for our text. This way, you can make the same bunny, but it can be in a dark background, but everything else could be like a different color, like a white color. So yeah, you just have to play around with it. Mm, and if you truly want to polish out your application, you can, as you can see, it writes a big path over here, and it's quite boring, and it doesn't say a lot about the application itself. You can also change the title for it. The title is a field, the same as foreground and background color, but the difference is that if you hover over it, you can see that it's written that it's a string type. This one, this first mm, word indicates what type of field it is. If we go here, we can see it's a console color, just like we wrote in here. So yeah, a string is like I've mentioned, a double quoted text, and we can write blackjack lights. So now, when we look at it, we will see that our game actually has a title. The application itself allows us to see the name. It displays everything, and it's really neat. So yeah, with all this toolkit, I'm quite sure you will be able to create something quite nice. If you're not sure what to do, you can just look at this solution and try to replicate it or modify it and make your own. Um, and if you want your application to be run not inside Visual Studio, let's say you want to share it with your family or your friends, you can go to project. This is the second part, the one that has C sharp as the icon. Right click on it, press open folder in File Explorer. In here, we will find all the files that belong to this project. And in here, we can click bin, which basically means binary, and every time when we build a project, it will build files for your project. These are the files that are required for you to run it in any other machine. So if you want to give it to your friend or you want to just try it out on a different device, you can click this dot executable item file, and it will open you up with the execution. When we learn control flows, you will be able to have interactive interface here. You will be able to click specific buttons and it will do specific actions. It will be really interesting and really fun. So yeah, uh, and well, now you should be prepared for the homework, for the exercise. Basically, the thing that we need to create is a logo. It could be a card, it could be a currency paper, let's say $1 from ASCII Art. It could be anything. It's totally up to you. It should appear quite nicely, and I will be showing you the solution and the way that I did it in a few seconds after the image that I will be uploading disappears. Okay, so my solution is very simple. Basically, what I did was added a title. I removed the spacing. I've also changed the background and foreground colors to yellow and red. Um, and I've made a deck from ASCII cards to escape one line. I just left empty parameter. Um, and for the later text, I welcome the user. Later on, I will show you how to make this dynamic. Basically, we will be able to register a user and it will show a different name depending as who we log in. I've also written down some buttons, inputs that we will be able to click later on, and they will have different functionality. And when I click debug, you can see a very simple icon of a blackjack deck. Also, if you're curious how to make these, I will add in description. Basically, you can make these icons by holding Alt and clicking one of the numpad numbers. So let's say Alt plus numpad 7, and you will get this circle. Alt plus numpad 8, you will get this card. So yeah, it makes a bit more interesting outlook for the ASCII deck. In the next tutorial, we will learn programming concept called variables. Uh, we will learn what is a variable, what types of variables we can create. And in a practical example, we will be registering how many points do we have, how many points does a card give, uh, what is our name, how old we are, and we will make the computer remember all this information, uh, and we will only need to specify it once, and we will be able to reuse it everywhere else. So for now, good luck and have a wonderful developer journey.